All right, what's up, guys? We got a fun one today. We're currently waiting on Mike Rainey to get here, and we're gonna do a little bit of an interview, and then we're gonna take him on a sim flight. So we'll probably be flying to TBM 850, and we'll take it from Harris Ranch over here to San Marcos, Texas. So should be a fun one. Come on. What's up, Mike? How you doing, buddy?
Brother. Thanks for having
me. It's really good to have you on the podcast.
I'm happy to be here, brother.
I'm going to turn these down just a tad so you're not getting any interference there. So I found you, I'm going to say probably 2023.
Okay.
And I found you through DadMeat, right? Just like I found everybody else. I found Mr. Tubbs. I found Ryan Foster. I found the Are You Garbage guys. I seen that you guys had an episode on there. But I was going through like a really hard time during that year. And, drinking super heavily and, using off and on. So for me, just hearing your guys' story was actually like better than AA.
Dude, I love hearing that kind of stuff, man, because, I know how difficult that shit is. And I kind of got lucky with finding like the ways that I was able to find to kind of help navigate me through that path. So anytime I hear like something like that, but specifically that, man, it really means a lot to me.
Well, yeah, dude. And I mean, we come from pretty much the same area. So I'm originally from Lancaster.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Well, it's E-Town. It's really E-Town. And I grew up there off and on, like growing up. And for me, my mom used to make fun, and she would say, "Listen, if you don't get out of E-Town by the time you're 17, you're never fucking leaving." And it's one of those. It's one of those towns,
dude. It's funny, man, because I feel like I just got out of one of those coming from Delco, and I'm 47 now.
Okay.
And there was a point where, like, as you get older and older, you're just like, I'm gonna get out someday. Someday I'm gonna get out, and then as I got in my 40s, I'm like, fuck, I'm not gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
And it was like it's not the worst place, but at the same time, it's like it feels like one of those kind of towns where there's like an invisible fence,
right?
And there's like these invisible limitations, and it's it's you against yourself a lot of the time too, but also your geographic area I think has a lot to do with the way that you approach life.
I would agree. I think it's a little bit different nowadays because of the internet and because the internet's right in our hands, and so we can see the horizons around us. We can see, you're watching things, on your screen that are from, thousands of miles away or, the next town over. So you're able to expand a little bit more. But I think for me, the biggest problem was, and why I actually came back to it was because it was familiar. It was that familiar feeling where it was like, okay, I don't got to learn where everything new is. Yeah. I don't got to learn, I know these people that are around here. Yeah, sure, I know what they're into, and, it's cheap. Yeah. I mean, that was the other thing. When I went back, so I left in 2009 from E-Town, and I went back to Virginia with my dad for a little bit, and bouncing in between those two places, I mean, like, and he was living in Northern Virginia, and the money that you were spending was almost like 3 times what you would spend in Pennsylvania. It's ridiculous. And the jobs weren't paying. I mean, the jobs for the same job, you're getting paid the same amount of money, and you start entering like that whirlwind cycle.
Yeah.
So
there was coming here. I mean, here in Central Texas, like, we get so much more bang for our buck, and that's like part of why I felt so stuck in Delco is because we kind of lucked out. Like 14 years ago, I think we ended up in the house that we last had. Like, when we left there in June, like, we were there for a long ass time.
Right.
But a big part of what kept us there for so long is our landlords were very cool, and they gave us a pretty reasonable price. But everywhere around there was like $500-600 more a month rent, and like I was already stretched thin to begin with.
Right.
So like I felt like financially, saddled there, and I was before like doing podcasting and writing books. Like, I was working with kids with special needs, and like I was limited by how much I could make because I didn't have a degree.
Oh, okay.
And I truly felt stuck in every way possible. So it was like, felt stuck career-wise, felt stuck geographically. and just felt like this is where I am and this is where I'm going to stay. So like I feel like I'm playing with house money at this point because I made it out, and it's like, you know, I get to talk to my buddies, you know, for money now.
Sure.
And it's like, you know, writing books, and like when I put out a new book, people buy it. And I never. There was a part of me that believed I could do that, but then the reality wasn't really matching up with what I believed.
Right. You're on book number 3 now, right?
Dude, I think. I think 6, because like I put out a few like very early on, and I didn't sell any of them. Like it was
really?
like.
Were you doing it just on Amazon?
No, I was doing it on my own. Like, I think 2012 might have been when I put out my first book. And the only reason why I did that, Rye, is because, like, I was, like, whacked on painkillers.
Okay, yeah.
And as bad, painkillers almost, like, ruined my life. But at the same time, they remove, like, that self-doubt that I always had.
It's like that inhibition. It's like that.
Dude, it was nuts.
You could do anything.
I truly felt that, man.
Right, yeah.
And I did. And there was a time where, like, you know, my life kind of started to improve when I got whacked on painkillers. I might be the only person in history where that ever happened to.
Yeah, for sure.
But bro, I'm telling you, like I didn't have a car for a while. There were like years where like we would have to take the bus and walk everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And at this point, we had 2 kids, like little kids too. So even going to the grocery store was a fucking chore. And if you forgot something, you were just like, fuck, man, now I got to walk back to this fucking place. So
were things close to you, or
kind
were
of?
They...
Like it wasn't like backbreaking if you had to go back to the grocery store. It was maybe like a quarter mile away.
Yeah, but in the winter, fuck that.
Yeah, and it's like when you got kids, you're just like, oh man, I gotta lug these kids back out. So at the time when I put out my first book, like I had just gotten a car again. Once I got a car, I was able to get a second job, and having the second job, I think I was making like an extra $250 a week, which was like life-changing at the time, because it was just like, because I was barely, like, in some cases not even able to make ends meet. I feel like there was always something getting shut off, or like you know, getting late notices on rent. And you know, by having like an extra $250 a week, like I was able to get caught up and then have like a few hundred extra. And I remember like feeling like a big deal this one weekend where there was like a horror movie convention called Monster Mania.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of it.
And it was in suburban Baltimore, I think. Hunt Valley, Maryland is where it was.
Okay.
And I found a hotel room for like $100 a night, which was like a little bit down the street from the horror movie convention. And it was at an Embassy Suites. And at the time, like, Embassy Suites was like the nicest hotel I'd ever stayed in.
Sure.
And it was like they had like this water feature where it was like a creek indoors. And I remember sitting there with my laptop open, like typing my first book before my family woke up the second day we were there, thinking like, I don't know how life can get any better than this.
Right.
Meanwhile, like I'm just like getting crushed by painkiller addiction.
Oxys?
Well, it was oxycodone.
Okay.
And it was like initially I started with Perks, but then like with the acetaminophen, the doctor was just like, I don't know how.
Oh, your liver's going to get fucked.
Yeah, it's like I'm probably going to stop breathing in the night.
Either way.
Yeah. But yeah, I went from Perks to just straight up oxycodone.
What was the precipice of that? Like, how did that actually start?
Dude, in May of 2012, I had a vicious bender.
Okay.
Like, I went down to Atlantic City. I'd been drinking all day. And Atlantic City, New Jersey is like, it's a rough fucking place, man.
Oh, God, yeah.
But at the time, like, living in Delco, which is a little over an hour away from there, it was kind of like a fun day trip, because back in 2012, there weren't casinos everywhere like there are now.
Sure.
So you always had, that was the closest casino.
Right.
And I had been drinking all day. I think it was Memorial Day weekend. And I decided I wanted hot dogs. So I asked my wife to go to the supermarket for hot dogs. And as she goes out, I'm like, fuck, I kind of want to gamble right now. So as she was out getting hot dogs, I got in my car. And I drove down to Atlantic City. And I just had like a brutal bender, which at the time was like my rock bottom.
Right.
And it was like, it was coke, it was crack.
Oh, God, yeah.
It was nuts, man. And like I would have sworn, like if you had asked me the day that I woke up and did that, if I would consider doing that night, I would be like, you're out of your mind. Like there's no chance of that happening. But at the tail end of that bender, I'm like, I'm going sober.
Right.
And I fully believed that. But like 3 to 4 weeks later, I started working another part-time job where it was like kind of like a UPS type job.
Okay.
And it was hard work. And after like a week or so, I was like, fuck, like my leg kind of hurts. And then in the day after day, like my leg started to hurt more and more. I was like, why does my leg feel like it's on fire? When I finally went to the doctor, I found out I had 2 ruptured discs. And it happened like so fast. I can't pinpoint a moment where it happened, but it was crazy. I just had to lay down all the time. I couldn't stand up. And then immediately he's like, all right, well, here's a script for Percocet. I was like, okay, cool. And I had painkillers before, but like I never really took to them because they just weren't my thing.
Sure.
Like alcohol and cocaine were my things.
Right, yeah.
But painkillers really weren't. But now that this was the only thing I had, like this is going to be my thing. And right off the bat, I knew I was off to the races because it was all I had. I didn't have the crutch of alcohol or cocaine anymore. And I was just like, all right, this is my thing, and it's going to be acceptable because the doctor says it's acceptable.
Yeah, that's the worst thing,
and I was running wild, man. It was, and as many as I was getting anywhere between 120 and 180 a month. But using like addict math, I was like, all right, I'm going to keep this many. I'm going to sell this many.
Yep.
And then when I would do that, I would be like, all right, well, I really need more right now. So I'd end up spending more money than I made in selling them.
Oh, yeah.
And I would just, meeting weird guys, weird places, and just not knowing, if you're going to get jumped, if you're going to get fucking killed.
Robbed.
It's
insane,
all of that.
Man. It is the wildest thing.
Yeah.
And once you're on that roller coaster, like, until... You basically have to take yourself out of regular everyday life for it for that roller coaster to stop.
It's all encompassing, man. And once you commit to that, I feel like I always tried to like keep a foot in the real world where it was like fulfilling my obligations to my job, to my wife, to my kids. I was barely anything to anybody. Like,
right.
I got lucky. I had a really good boss who looked after me. My wife is like the nicest lady on the planet, very forgiving woman.
Oh yeah.
And my kids are the coolest people on the planet too. So like, they all extended a lot of grace my way, which I didn't deserve.
Sure.
But I'm so glad that they did. But that continued for like 3 fucking years, and in the midst of that, it just progressively got worse. And like I became more isolated from my wife, and just from everything. Like if I wasn't at work, or I was even getting fucked up at work, and when I wasn't at work, I was just like in my back room in my house, and I would just isolate. I got
wife beater on.
Oh, dude, right, heavy in the vinyl. Like I started collecting vinyl, and I was just like, all right, if I'm going to be back here, I'm going to listen to some new music.
Yeah.
So I would go to garage sales. I would go to like Goodwill and just get new vinyl, and like that was kind of a fun aspect of opioid addiction, but at the same time, it was like incredibly sad because the entire world is going on outside of this fucking room, and I don't care because as long as I got pills.
Oh yeah.
As long as I'm feeling that fucking tingle, man, I'm good. But then the times where you run out of pills and you don't have money, it's just fucking hell.
Oh yeah. And there's nothing on this world in this world. So like mine, I went from getting hurt, getting on pills, and then the pills for me. Like, I didn't like that, and it was that Tylenol feeling. I didn't like that sick in the stomach, nauseous Tylenol feeling. So I knew a dude and he lived like above me, and he had heroin. And he would go to Church Street in Upper Darby every fucking day, same time, and I guess he was dealing with the same dude. I never got to meet him. I had gone a couple of times, but I never, because I was the ride. So, but I never got to meet him. He'd always come back. It would always be kind of like the same thing. So in my mind, I rationalized that. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is, you know what you're getting. And it's like, you don't fucking know what you're getting. The bags look the same. They're the same. They have the same little gas pumps on them, but you don't have a fucking. You're like, okay, well, why is it? Well, that looks a little bit tanner than usual. And it's like, well, it's the same brand. And it's like, these things don't have fucking brands, you know? And so, but the immediate, like, within 6 hours, like, after that stops, for me, I knew as soon as I sneezed, as soon as I'd start sneezing, I'm like, oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming. Yeah. And then your ears would pop. You won't have a cold at all, right? You wouldn't be sick. None of that. As soon as the ears start pop, as soon as you start sneezing, and then it's like, okay, your body can't regulate its temperature. It's like people are like, oh, well, it's like the worst flu you've ever had. And it's like, okay, well, picture the worst flu you've ever had, but the second you get something, it's going to take care of it 100%. And you are going to be 180-degree flipped.
Yeah.
You can't explain, and like literally within an instant.
It's like the physical addiction aspect was different for me because before that, I drank constantly, and like Coke was just a mental addiction. It's
sure,
like, physically you're going to be fine,
right?
But with pills, it's like it was that weird like chemical hangover feeling that was like incomparable to anything else.
Sure,
where it was just like, all right, I'm in way too deep right now, and I just don't think I can get out of this.
Right.
There have been so many moments with different variations of addiction in my life where I've felt that, and I've only recently realized. Being out of it for so long, it'll be like 9 years in April since like my last like bender with alcohol and cocaine. I'd given up pills before that, but it was only like, honestly, it was a few nights ago. Like I had, I've been going through a lot of shit, and I was talking with my wife and just unloading a bunch of shit. And like I realized like, oh fuck, like I just love chaos, man.
Sure,
I truly love that shit.
Oh
man.
God, yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm not going to lie to myself anymore, pretending that I don't. And I think that's a big part of what fueled all different eras of addiction.
Right.
Whether it was alcohol, cocaine, or painkillers, like I love that shit, man.
Addiction, I think, is addiction.
It is.
I mean,
there's always something
across the board, and people are like, well, you're trading your addictions for other addictions. It's like, well, yeah, but these addictions, they're not like substance addiction, But you sit back in your mind, okay, it's like the obsessive thoughts, the you've got to be doing it, or you've got to, or you got to be around that area. Like, for me, getting off of it, like, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it alone. I tried the fucking rehab thing. I've been to Gaudenzia like twice. I've been to New Insights in Lemoyne, Pennsylvania once. None of them, for me, like that whole model is just fucked. Sure, it works for certain people, but they really beat it into your head that it's the structure, and it's like, I just knew that there was some other type, something different, like some other way. And I had a buddy, I left, I was in, I think Maryland. I was in a place in Maryland, in a treatment facility in Maryland. It was kind of like a last resort. Like, because I had been in trouble with the law. I had the probation breathing down your neck. And I started thinking, I was like, well, okay, I can stay clean in jail. Not because there's not, a lack of drugs, because there's definitely that inside. But I can stay clean, and I can stay like, it's always because I go back and I'm seeking it. So what's like the mental for me? So my buddy was like, well, come down to Virginia and I'm going to get you right. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? So he went to some dude's garage and he mixed up, like a very low dose of ayahuasca.
Oh, neat.
Like a very, very, very low dose. And I have like a lot of trauma. I've got like a lot of, I think we all do, growing up in the 90s. I think that, I don't know if there's anybody that made it out scot-free. I always say that. But he mixed up a little bit of that, and then he gave me mushrooms. And he gave me mushroom microdoses like afterwards for like 3 days. Yeah. And I stayed with him for about 5 days. The second that you get out of all that like at that afterglow and that you're coming down off of it, I was just like, hey, what a fucking child. Like, that was my first thought, like, dude, what a fucking child you've been. Like, I've done I've had some really cool experiences in my life, and for me to piss them away with substances and everything, I was like, well, this is not the fucking way to do it.
Yeah, dude, a lot of that shit resonates with me too, because that's I've had similar thoughts in regards to like just being childish. That's what it feels like. It feels like constant like temper tantrums.
Oh yeah.
Whereas like if you can't get it, if you need to get it, if you can get it, it's like it's just there's very few aspects of like my behavior, like when I was doing all that shit, that I was proud of. And it was just an endless cycle of just being fucked up, trying to get fucked up, engaging in fucked up people and fucked up situations. And like I mentioned, man, there were truly so many times where I just didn't know if I was going to make it out of it.
Oh, for sure.
So to be able to be sitting here doing this now, I would have never foreseen this, 9 years ago.
Oh,
like
really?
As low as I was at that point, like it would never have occurred to me to be at a point where I'd be like, okay, like I'm doing something productive with somebody I want to do it with.
Sure.
Something fun that doesn't involve drugs and alcohol.
Right.
It just would have never occurred to me.
So how did DadMeat come about?
Tim Butterly and I, my co-host and the funniest fucking guy on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a fucking rock star, man.
Dude, the funniest guy on the planet, man. We had, well, this was actually tied into the addiction part, but the night of the morning of my last bender, Tim and I were a part of like this Comedy Central pilot that seemed like it was going to become a series. It was
Delco Proper. Yeah.
And everything, it was just like there were so many funny people involved, and everything it just felt like a certainty because it was just too good not to happen.
Right. Yeah.
And we were supposed to do this radio appearance like to promote the show because we were about to film the pilot in Delco, and it was going to be at a radio station, WMMR.
Okay.
And they have a very popular morning show. Sure. And Tim, myself, Tommy Pope, and John McKeever were going to go to promote the show.
Okay.
And I'd been out all night drinking, doing coke, and it was just like it was like drugs were just raining from the fucking sky.
Right.
They were everywhere.
Sure.
Everybody I encountered had it, and it's like I saw like an old neighbor. And he was just like, yeah, he fronted me an 8-ball. And it was like, this was after like 12 hours of just spending hundreds of dollars. Other people had it. And then it was just like at the tail end of that. And I got this 8-ball. And at this point, it's like 6 in the morning. And I think we had to be at the radio station at like 8 or something like that.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, let me go to my car. Let me get my car. Let me try to like straighten myself out. And I'm going to drive to the radio station. And dude, it was just everything was going wrong. Like I didn't have a charger, so my phone was dying. So there was an LA Fitness close to the radio station. So I stopped in there, and like I must have been like cracked out looking because I'd been up for like so long doing coke and drinking. And I walked in there, and I just asked them for an iPhone charger. And one of the guys at the front desk like must have seen like how desperate I was, and he's like, "Here, man, you can keep it." And he gave me his charger.
Really?
So I hooked it into my car. I plugged my phone in, and I was like, all right, I'm back. And the radio station was like 5 minutes away. So I drove. I'm in the parking lot, and I'm sitting there, and I'm listening to the show on the radio, and it's like I just feel like I shouldn't go there because I'm so fucked up.
Right.
And I'm thinking like, yeah, I should. I'm obligated to go, and if I don't go, they might fire me. But then, fortunately, I decided not to go up there.
Right. Oh, okay.
And after that, I ended up meeting my loan shark, who gave me he gave me $300 so because like I just wanted to get a motel room so I could do coke by myself.
Right.
Until it ran out, and I was so low that I was hoping like with the amount of drugs that I'd done all night to the amount of drugs I had in my pocket that my heart would stop, because this was like the only like way out opportunity I had, because I've been doing comedy a long time.
Really.
I've been putzing around. And I got lucky getting linked up with these guys, and it seemed like it was going to happen, and I think I just fucked it up entirely. So I got a motel room by myself, and I just remember having the thought, like, I'm going to die here.
Right.
And I think I did one line out of the rest of the 8-ball that I had, and I dumped the rest down the fucking sink, which I had never done before. Like, I would never waste drugs. Like, I was always somebody, I would do it until it was finished, or until I didn't have any money to get more, or until people just would ignore me trying to get more.
Yeah.
And then, like, at that point, that was, like, the turning point. But it was almost entirely because I had felt as though I had pissed away that opportunity to finally, like, make some kind of advancement in life.
Sure. Yeah. So right after that, then you're like, I want to do a podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then we found out that we made Delco Proper the pilot, and then a few months later, it was just in an email. It was just like it was done, and like Tim and I, like
no call or anything.
They emailed John and Tommy, who were the show creators.
Sure, yeah,
and they were just politely, I guess, said we're not doing it.
Now it's Comedy Central.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were just like, it can't be. There's got to be a mistake or something. And then there was like a week where it was just like, all right, well, somebody else might get it, might pick it up. And then
was it being shopped around?
I think so, but it was like, it was always like, I think they had to like, there was so much money put into it that like, if anybody picked it up, they would have to reimburse Comedy Central for the money they put out for the pilot.
Oh, okay.
Which was like over $1 million.
Right,
and,
sure.
You know, for something that, you know, doesn't really have like, you know, much of a track record, I guess. Like that was, there were so many other new projects coming up that I think they were just like, no, we're good.
Sure. Yeah.
And as like time went by, it was clear that it was just dead.
Right.
And like Tim and I didn't do anything for, I think like a couple of years. And we just assumed it was done. Everything was done because it was so embarrassing because we had told everybody and people were aware of it, and we were convinced that it was going to happen. And when it didn't happen, it was just, all right, I don't want to even show my face anywhere because I'm so ashamed that like this thing that I had built up, that it was going to happen through no fault of anybody's.
Sure.
It just doesn't happen sometimes.
Right.
And for a couple of years, like, you know, Tim and I both did that, but
how long had you known Tim?
2012. It was the summer I had back surgery and got whacked on pills. Like I think we took a picture together, but the first time Tim and I hung out, we went to go see a Wes Anderson movie, and I had a cane because I just had surgery a couple weeks prior. So I was walking around in the cane, and Tim met me at the movies. And so I think like 2020, I was just like, hey, do you want to maybe do a podcast? Because, you know, we had some friends that were doing podcasts, and they seemed to be having fun. Mm-hmm. And we were just like, yeah, maybe we'll do that. And then our buddies like Matt and Shane, they asked us to come on their show.
Oh, yeah, the bros.
And then Matt just casually brought it up. He's like, oh, I heard you guys are thinking about doing a podcast. And I was like, all right, well, now I feel like even more motivated.
Yeah, people are saying it now.
Yeah. So Tim and I think we made our first episode like a week or two after that, which I think was 2020 or 2019.
Had the pandemic started?
No, not yet. This was right before that. Like maybe like 6 months before that.
Okay. All right. So like the end of the year 19.
Yeah. It was October 19 was our first episode.
Okay.
And we had fun. It was just nice. It was just fun to talk into a microphone.
Sure.
And you could say anything, and like we didn't do video at the time, we just did audio. And I was just so excited every week to do it that on the way home, like I would listen to the podcast that we just recorded because I was just having fun with my buddy.
Yep.
And when the pandemic hit, we were doing things over Zoom. And
oh boy, that was miserable. Wasn't it?
It was rough, man. But people were very cool, and like we had some people that watched. And I remember like when we started our Patreon, like I think our first like payout, I was like Tim and I each got like $300.
Ooh.
And I was like, dude, I could not imagine like making $300 consistently from doing this thing that's like you hardly have to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like you're just hanging out with your fucking friends.
Yeah.
And we kept doing it, and then like it kept growing, then like that like spawned other things, and like DadMeat has always been like kind of home base.
Sure.
For Tim and I. Like he's doing his own thing now and I'm doing my own thing, but we still do DadMeat every week. And it's still a ton of fun. But it all started because like of that failed project and Tim and I licking our wounds, and then just one day deciding like, all right, maybe we should do something else. Because up until that point, it was really just stand-up. There were very few people, like at least in our circle, doing podcasts at that time.
Right.
And it was just like, all right, I guess we'll try it. And we both liked it a lot, and we both kept doing it. And it's after I think like 2022 or 23. I ended up like getting laid off from my full-time job.
Right. Okay.
And I think that year, like I had just put out my book On Perks, and like the combination of like losing my full-time job and writing my book and like people actually buying it, I was just like, all right, fuck this. I'm going to just try to do this shit.
And you only promoted it on DadMeat and then all the other podcasts that you guys went on.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't really see. I mean, I seen a couple little things on Instagram, I think, from you, but it was mostly all on DadMeat.
Yeah.
And you guys have like a real cult following.
People are so nice, man. And like if I talk to a stranger and mention the show, and they look at like our views or downloads compared to like massive podcasts,
right?
They'd be like, "Cool, I'm glad you guys are having fun."
Sure,
because it's like we might get maybe like 10,000 views on YouTube on most of our videos, but we're able to like make enough through like Patreon and ads to like really, make it. We're able. This is what Tim and I do. And it's
sure.
Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
We both do stand up now. It's like I've written a bunch of books since then, and Tim's doing like his Twitch stream, but DadMeat was really kind of like the basis of all that.
Right.
That allowed us, gave us like a push and the support from the people that are like so into it, and that a lot of people have been down with us from like the very, very first year.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I mean, and the Bubs are strong. I mean, that is it, and it's when I say it's a cult following, it's really like you can. I mean, the subreddits and the Reddits, just and then all of the comments and everything. I mean, the love that you guys get is incredible. I mean, what you guys have built is truthfully awesome. And I'm thankful to be a part of it, man.
Oh,
I mean,
Ryan, I feel lucky to be here with you now, man.
I appreciate that, dude.
And I really like feel all those things that you said, man. And I experienced a lot of kindness, man.
Right.
And it's, I know the internet's a fucked up place. And there are times where, like, I try not to read comments anymore just because you'll read something, and as much as you want to pretend that, like, oh, like, this shit doesn't affect me. Like, I read something today, and I was just like, I had to, like, click out of it immediately. I was like, damn, like, I feel that too. And it's like, damn, my feelings are kind of hurt with that shit. But by and large, like, people are pretty nice to me. And it's like there's so many messages that like I'll read, and it's just like, oh man, that's really uplifting. That's really uplifting.
Right.
And I think it's like really unique because I know like a lot of other places and a lot of other shows like don't have that. Like you see, I don't know. Like I've been in subreddits where like people, it seems like their fans turn against them.
Yeah, I've seen that, and then it's like the content's not like relatable. And I mean it's cool to hear like educational stuff, like you'll hear Huberman or you'll hear the Lex Friedman podcast, whatever, and it's cool to hear like those people and their takes on things, but it a lot of that's like, okay, well, some scientist isn't relating to my fucking life today. It's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's like, okay, I mean, yeah, cool, you can get some really great information from it, right? But at the end of the day, when, I've worked 11 hours and, I've heard nothing but hummings of drums or, fucking hammers hitting sheet metal or, airplanes starting up or some fucking bullshit, I just want to drown that out with somebody talking about jizz on the internet. Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you, man. And I don't know, there's so much where, it works both ways too, because, Tim and I, like, I like meeting people, and like we've done like events, and we're gonna keep doing more where we have like meetups where we have like the retard breakfast.
Oh yeah, like Shady Mate.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And it's like where we get to meet everybody, and everybody's welcome, and you just come, and it's like $12 or whatever it is for a buffet, and like we'll have like a presentation,
right?
And it's a ton of fun, and like we're setting up more shit like that now that's going to be down here in Austin.
Oh, that's perfect.
But it's never been like an us and them situation.
Sure.
Like with everything, with everybody that listens and supports DadMeat, like we're in it together.
Right.
Because, at the basis of all of it, Tim and I, like our thing is just like everybody else who's listening to the shows. It's like, you want to work your fucking dick off so that you can provide for your family and just gradually, step up in life.
Right.
And that's what all this is. Like there's never any, I consider myself a success.
Right.
But going back to what I was saying about, like, somebody, like, comparing, like, a massively successful podcast to, like, ours, seeing our views and downloads, they'd be like, all right, dude, hope you enjoy that shit. Like, my version of success is being able to, like, consistently make upgrades for my family.
Right.
Like, for me, like, this year, moving from Delco to Austin, like, I feel like I live in a fucking mansion.
Yeah.
And to somebody that lives, like, in a mansion, they'd look at the same thing and be like, cool, man, I'm glad you guys enjoy it. But to me, it's like, that's success.
Yep.
Like, being able to, like, wake up and, like, my computer worked today. Whereas, like, there was a long time where, like, like I smashed my laptop screen one time in 2013, and I was just like, it's going to be a month before I can buy this $50 part to replace it.
Exactly, yeah.
So the fact that I can use a functional computer to work, that's success to me.
Right.
The fact that if like my kids need $20 for school and I got it, that's success to me.
Oh yeah.
It's not about fucking having fucking caviar for dinner or like a party bus for like a special. It's like no, it's like that's still so far out of my realm of possibility. It's not even funny. And like I don't need that. I don't want that shit.
Right. Right.
Like I just want to be able to have like certain things in my life and have my family be able to be confident that they can depend on me.
Exactly. I'm at the point right now where I'm like, okay, I can afford meals out.
Yes. Like, oh, dude, it's still such a big deal, man.
Yeah. Okay, I can. Don't worry about it. You don't got to. I got this. Yeah. We can go to Chick-fil-A. Yeah. We can go eat out at the Chinese restaurants, which, by the way, there's not that many of them.
What the fuck, man?
There is one good one, though.
Where is it?
So if you go out 290 and you go out to like William Cannon, there's a Best Buy at like 290 in Mopac.
I think I know where that is.
And then like right across the street from there, I can't ever remember. Probably Hunan Garden is probably the name of it, or whatever. But that's been the best sit-down Chinese that I can find out here. But it's like that right there. It's like, okay, now I can afford that. Like now this is on me, I've worked now 5 years, so a little bit back behind me. In 2018. I got really messed up on. I was with a girl and we were living together, kind of like off and on. It was a real volatile relationship, and so I would go and I would use, and I got all whacked out. And in September of 2018, my buddy came to me and he's like, "Hey, I got this. I bought the contents of this barn out." He was like, "I don't got anywhere to store the stuff, and it's got a small little airplane. Can I put it in your hangar?" I was like, well, yeah. I actually had a hangar. We were, I was storing a buddy of mine's airplane in it. He had just moved out, and I was like, well, I guess I got to get rid of this at this point. And I was like, well, maybe not. So he moved all of that stuff in, and then it came in like a kit. And I mean, literally, it was like toothpicks and, put together with fabric and shit. It wasn't like a real, legit. It wasn't like, this thing sitting behind me. But it was all there, and it was pretty much built. You just had to put the bolts in the right place and put it together, and that's exactly what I did. And so September 26th of 2018, I got ballsy, man. Me and her had a fight that night, and she was like, well, I just need you to get out. And I was like, well, I don't got anywhere I'm fucking. I was like, oh, I'll go to the hangar. I was like, I got plenty of work I can do out there. So I parked my little car inside, had finished making some like minor little adjustments. And that morning it was going to be like cloudy outside. So I was like, well, I'm going to take this thing across the ground a couple of times. I didn't want to fly it. Yeah. I just wanted to take it across the ground a couple of times. So I go buy a gallon of gas from the airport. Literally 1 gallon. And this comes up too all the freaking time. I bought 1 gallon of gas, put 1 gallon of gas in it, started it up, and I just started taking it across the ground. And I was going, pretty slow. I wasn't flooring it or anything. I was giving it just a little bit of power. But I was like trying to see where the controls came up at and how it felt. And did it feel like it was going to shake itself apart? And I don't know what hit me, but at like the third or fourth time I went across the ground, and I was doing it on the grass because I was like, well, I don't want to be on the runway in case somebody's coming in and actually landing. I was like, well, I'm going to see what this fucking thing is going to do. So I floored it. And I guess I got too excited when I did it because I mashed the fucking throttle, and it knocked the throttle actuator out of the carburetor. And so the throttle was just rattling back and forth.
Did you think you were fucked?
Well, no. Not at that particular second. I went probably 300 feet, and then I tried to hit the brakes, but I was like, well, if I hit the brakes, then I'm going to nose all the way over. I was like, and I mean, at like 18 knots, this thing takes off. And so I'm in the air. Literally, as soon as I gave it gas, it was gas probably 2 or 3 seconds, and then I'm not feeling the rumble of the ground anymore. I was like, well, now we're fucked. Because I had no phone, I had no lights or anything. It's, what they call instrument conditions. So, and I only got a gallon of gas. Plus, I've got no way to I got no way to stop. I'm at like max. So, and I was panicked. And so I was like, well, okay, this thing's only got a gallon of gas in it. I said, a gallon of gas can't go that fucking long. So I just start making fucking patterns. And this flight instructor comes out and he starts videoing me, and you can hear it in the video too. He's like, oh, well, look at this asshole, da 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 da. And so I tried landing a couple of times. I didn't like each landing. And, you know, I've been around airplanes my entire life. You know, my dad got me into it. And so I was like, well, all right, I'm going to put this thing on the ground at some point. I may as well just let it run out of gas. And so it didn't. It wasn't long. I mean, it might have been 10 or 15 minutes, but I never got above 100 and some feet. And so I just circled. I landed. Didn't do any damage. It didn't like anything crazy. I didn't even break the airplane. I pulled off of the grass. I had the mechanic, was a chick that I had done work for, and she came out and she was like, well, let's go look at it. Let's see what happened. And I made the throttle cable too short is really what it boiled down to. And, you know, I called the FAA. I was like, hey, listen, this is what happened. This is what I did. I don't have a license. And they were like, well, did you kill anybody? I said, no. They're like, did you do any damage? I said, no. They're like, is the airplane registered? I went, nah, coincidentally, no. They're like, the fuck are you calling us for? Yeah. I was like, well, this is what I was told to do. 19 and a half months later, I was coming out of the Fredericksburg, Virginia DMV getting my driver's license. And there had been this homeless-looking dude, like, following me. And didn't know what he wanted. He asked me for a cigarette a couple of times. And I gave him one. But then I'm looking at him, I'm like, hey, he's got paint all over his jeans. He's got dirt all over his hands. But I was like, you know what doesn't have dirt all over it? His fucking fingernails don't. And why is he on an iPhone? So I just got this like weird gut feeling. I get in my truck, I plug in my phone. I was like texting on my phone or whatever because I was getting ready to go somewhere, and I look up and then there's like 5 agents around me. None of them have badges on or anything, but they ended up being Department of Transportation, and they served me with it started at unauthorized use of an aircraft, and then flying an aircraft while not a licensed airman is what it ended up being. And then it ended up like all of COVID. I was on like house arrest and bullshit. But so that's like a little bit of background of like, you know, and I forget where I was going with that story, but you know, where me and where I'm at. But you know, it's taken me so long. Oh, it's taken me, you know, so I came home like right around 21, and it's taken me from now and to where like people were like, well, you'll never be around. Like I even had it part of my my conditions where it was like, you have to move out of your house and move to this halfway house, this Oxford house, because where you live is within a mile of an airport.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. You can't be within a mile of an airport while I had that ankle monitor on. I mean, and that thing was crazy. Like, it would tell her what my heart rate was. It would tell her what my body temperature was. She called me one night, like a week after I got it. This is the height of COVID. She's like, yeah, by the way, are you feeling okay? And I went, yeah, why? She was like, well, you're running a fever. I went, what the fuck? She was like, yeah. She was like, oh, I can tell everything about you. So, but it's taken me now this long to get to where I am today, you know, I'm working on airplanes now, you know, I'm building airplanes. I'm kind of the go-to guy, you know, at my little shop because I've just been around it so long, you know, and despite of everybody telling me, well, you'll never be able to do that. This is not who you are. This is, you know, you'll never be able to fly again, yet alone, you know, get ready to get my pilot's license.
That's so cool, dude.
You know, finish that out. So, just that's how I'm measuring success right now, right? So, you know, I really relate when you sit back and you're like, well, okay, you know, I relate because now I can take care of my kids. You know, people don't realize how much that freaking means. Yep. You know, I feel like some people take advantage of the situation or take it for granted, you know, the situation that they're in. And it's just like, you know, you don't know what the other side of it looks like. Dude, and it's dark.
And I get it, man, because like I was somebody who took all my shit for granted because like right now, like I'm getting ready in a couple weeks I'm putting out a book like detailing like my addiction years and all the shit I did to overcome that.
Right.
And the purpose of the book is to hopefully like be like an example for somebody who just feels lost and is looking for a place to start.
Sure.
Because that's what I felt, and hopefully, like, it is that for them.
Right.
But in writing the book, there's so many different instances where I'm reading through, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that shit. Or I can't believe I put my wife and my kids through that shit.
Right.
And it's clear that, like, I was just taking so fucking much for granted. Where at that time, I know finances were everything because I was so poor for so long.
Yeah, me too.
And that's all I was consumed by. And it's even hard now, like, to get away from that. But back then, especially, because we just had next to nothing, and I felt stuck because, I work full time. I worked in a really noble profession. I work with kids with special needs.
Right.
And I just assumed that at some point I would get a break, and like that kind of break in that field never came. And I was just so like, I just had my head in the sand because I was so bitter at not being where I wanted to be financially that I took everything that was good around me for granted.
Sure.
But when things started to like change for me, it became much easier to be conscious of that. Like, I'm not fucking perfect. Like, my wife and I had like a massive argument a couple nights ago.
Really?
And like today, I feel like today, and like we're on good terms now. But back then, I was just like, a couple days ago, I was just like, dude, I can't believe I'm bringing this kind of shit up now. Like, I have to get past this stuff because it's just, we don't need this right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm still prone to fucking chimp freakouts where I'm just bitching.
Is it the drop of a hat?
For me, it's a slow burn. Like, I don't feel like, I argue often, but when I argue, I make it a bigger deal than it probably should be.
Yeah.
And, there was, I was just, it was something that could have been resolved with just probably like a few questions as opposed to like me freaking out. Like, there was like an underlying thing, like there was like a financial thing that I was like worried about. And then that led to another thing. And then the whole thing led to me like complaining about shit that I don't need to complain about.
Yeah.
And now that like we're both even tempered, it's just like, look, I'm sorry. Like, I was wrong for doing that. Here was the real issue. And this is the shit I was really wrong about.
Yeah.
So like, I'm still not great, not perfect in recognizing like, okay, like I need to chill here, or maybe this is the time to hit the gas a little bit, or, but I'm much more attuned to like shit I should be grateful for. Like right now it's like, the fact that my car made it here. There were so many times like, when we were driving home from the hospital with our first daughter, like I didn't know if the car would make it home. Because it's like anytime it would idle, it would turn off.
Oh, yeah.
And, and one day it just never turned back on again. And it's like, right now I don't have that stress anymore.
Right.
So it's like that's a little thing I'm grateful for. I mentioned the computer thing turning on. Like, like if I want to stop and get Chick-fil-A on the way home, like I know I can do that. Like those things are shit that are never going to be lost on me. Because, that's the benefit of being so poor and also, like, having so little at one point in time.
Yeah.
Is that there's going to come a point where, like, you will probably be more grateful for that shit than people could ever imagine.
And so that's why you started Grateful Chimps then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's my new podcast where I just like hearing about what people are grateful for.
Sure.
And it is interesting to hear. Like, a lot of people will give you, like, the answers that, like, you probably expect, like, family or, like, a specific job or like, friends. But then other times like people like really will surprise you and like that's the shit I really want to get into because big picture is great, but also it's like smaller picture stuff is really it's kind of where it's at. And I feel like gratitude is basically the cornerstone of me being able to figure out the shit that fucked me up the most.
Right.
And even now it's like I'm great like I have like these little goal sheets where like I'll write out a singular goal and then I'll write down all the different things I can take to get to each one.
Sure.
I'm grateful that like I have like the energy to work towards that shit.
Right.
I'm grateful that my fucking printer worked, that I can print out that fucking piece of paper, man. Because I know there are times where it's just like, if I need something printed, it's like I got to go to the library. If I go to the library, it's like, do I have $1 in quarters to get something printed out? And there were times where no, I didn't have a fucking $1 in quarters.
Yeah.
So like all this little shit adds up, man. And it's like with Grateful Chimps, it's like I truly like. I like hearing that stuff because, one, selfishly, I like hearing about what other people are grateful for.
Sure.
But also, you just feel good when you talk about shit that you're grateful for. And you feel good when you hear about the shit that other people are grateful for.
Well, you feel good when you give gratitude to something.
100%.
You feel, it kind of feels like, okay, well, it seems very genuine, and I love listening to it,
I appreciate it, bro. What are you grateful for right now?
So I think I'm grateful to be in a place where I can actually put my thoughts into like cohesive order.
I got you.
You know, I'm very grateful that, you know, because I'm like a very ADD mind. I'm always going. I'm always thinking. But, you know, and it's always like when I'm thinking, it's like, you know, short thoughts. And it's like, you know, okay, well, and then they end up being like a run-on fucking sentence. Yeah. I'm very grateful that today, you know, okay, you know, I'm making a plan. I'm sticking to that plan. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm letting, you know, it do it on its terms and not trying to be the driver or the controller of it. You know, for so long, I've been one of those guys that has been like, you know, I wouldn't say obsessed with control or anything, but, you know, you grow up hearing that stupid line was like, you're in control of your own fate. You're in control of your own fate. And it was like, okay, well, yeah, well, my pocketbook says I'm not. So the fuck are we talking about? You know? I feel very grateful that now, you know, some of the burdens are being taken off. But I mean, there are days where, you know, I look at finances and I'm just like, okay, well, that's something I'm going to have to pack away till tomorrow, you know, or you know, my biggest problem right now that I have is probably dealing with customers that think that they are the only customers in the world and nobody else comes before them, and you know they want to supersede the line and they want you to treat them special. And it's like I can't do that, right? Like I'm not. First of all, I'm not in control of where you get put into the line, you know. But I'm grateful that, you know, I can sit back and I can like, all right, I'll pack that away. I know it's there. Yeah. I'm not ignoring it, but, you know, it's just not the forefront in my mind right now.
I got it.
You know, I've just recently, you know, me and my girlfriend, we've, you know, started spending a lot more time together and realizing what it is to be like a dad and to be like a stepdad. And boy, that's not easy.
Yeah.
You know, it's super tough. You know, he's a great kid and he's, you know, loves the hell out of me. Awesome. But, you know, it's all of the time you put in and all of the stuff. Like, I mean, we had to take his bike. That's why it's sitting in here right now, you know. So, you know, and then you've got to be like, well, you have to be steadfast on all that. Yes. It's all of these things that, like, you know, you see them on TV or you see them on your phone or whatever, but until you get thrust into that situation, and nobody warned you, there's not a manual for that shit. Nobody tells you, oh, okay, well, here, you have to put A to B and B to C and all that. They don't ever tell you that. There's not a one-size-fits-all, you know, and until you're actually put into that situation, you know, you're never going to know. You know, you have no idea. And so, you know, and then you gotta like, okay, well, fuck, now I gotta react. Yeah. Now I just gotta do it. And I'm actually grateful too that I've worked on like anger and I've worked on like a little bit of resentment. So where I'm like, okay, some of that, you know, central Pennsylvania, you know, mentality has kind of gone away, where it's not everything is an argument or everything has to be a decimal 10. Yeah. You know, we can actually talk about something. You know. My family's, you know, have my mom's side of the family, the Pennsylvania side, they're all fucking Italian. So they don't know anything but anger and yelling. Yeah. You know, that's how they convey love, obviously, you know. So I think that's where I'm grateful for. What are you grateful for right now today?
Dude, I'm truly grateful to be here talking with you.
I appreciate that, man.
I hit a rough patch, and I'm really like I feel like I'm at a crossroads with a lot of different shit in my life right now, and figuring out. It's a constant process of trying to figure out what the fuck I want and what I don't want.
Right.
And that's like on a big scale and on a smaller scale. And, you know, even go back to like the shit I was just talking about with like arguing with my wife about like dumb shit. And it's, you know, that's something that like I'm trying to figure out an answer on how to like avoid all that shit in the future.
Right.
You know, things like that. And then, but I'm really grateful that like I'm able to like, I don't make really fucking problematic decisions anymore, because like it used to be, there was a time where if I would get angry, I'd put holes in the wall.
Oh God, yeah.
I'd go out drunk driving, and it was just like I would create so much like devastation in my wake that by the time it would all be finished, it's like the problem that I initially started at was almost like I forgot about because of how many other problems I've created in the time since then.
Sure.
So I'm grateful now that like if I'm pissed about something happening now, like I've gotten much better at addressing it.
Sure.
Like it's like a major win for me is to not get personal over addressing, a grievance.
Oh. Okay.
Whereas like I could never do that before. I would go scorched earth. I've ruined so many friendships. Like there were so many times where like I was just like so disrespectful to my wife.
Right.
It just taking it to an 11 when it didn't have to fucking be there.
When you guys got to Texas, and correct me if I'm wrong, so like you guys became way closer when you got down here, right?
Yeah. I kind of got lucky, man. Lucky in the sense that, like, both my parents died.
Yeah.
But in the sense that, like, like my family was, my mom, my dad, my sister, and I, like, we're as, like, dysfunctional as it got. And it was very fucked up. And, like, my relationship within that family caused problems within my family, meaning my wife and my kids and I, because of, like, how much dysfunction I brought into our shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the past 2 years leading up to us moving here were kind of like, the most cathartic years of our relationship. But we've been together 25 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So a long-ass fucking time. However, like, the last, like, 2.5 have been, like, the most, really, like, healthy years of our lives together. And especially going through, like, the situation with both my parents dying at the same time, because there's a lot of fucked up shit surrounding them where it was, like, gross family dynamics, like, really, like, rearing their heads. And my wife had my back through all that shit.
Right.
And it really meant a lot to me that she had my back, because, like, I felt like on an island.
Right.
And her having my back, like, made us become closer. And then once we got here in June, so we've been here 7 months, like, we're together, like, constantly.
Right.
Like, and it's like, I prefer it that way. Like,
sure.
She truly is my best friend now, whereas, like, if I had said that 5 years ago, I would have been like, dude, you're clearly on fucking crack right now.
Right.
Your wife's your fucking best friend. All right. All right, fucking loser. But yeah, it's like, she's just kind of like my person, man.
Sure.
And
sure.
I'm just like so appreciative of her, but for so many different reasons. But right now especially, we're just really fucking close, and like I would have never anticipated this, a while back.
Right. And you're touring now, right?
Yeah, man. I've been booking my own shows at the end of last year, heading into this year.
Okay.
And I've had a blast doing it, and it's I love traveling. I love like doing live shit.
Right.
So I've been able to get more and more of those. I have somebody managing me now, so I just got that, which has been helpful. So it's like I got somebody to like take like all the emailing and contacting off of my plate, and see like these little like benchmarks of success for me that like I had been avoidable for so fucking long.
Right.
And it was all self-imposed. Like any roadblock I faced was 99.9% my own fucking fault.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So like now that I'm able to like hit these little like benchmarks, I'm like, all right, let me see what else I can do now. And I like pushing the limits and like seeing what I can do, finding out my own limits, because like right now like there's shit like I'm realizing like, all right, I took way too much on.
Right.
And this is like out of my pay grade. I need to fucking dial it back a little bit. But it does feel good like doing all this shit and like just I feel free.
Right.
Whereas for a long time I just felt like hamstrung by every element of my life. Whereas now like I feel free.
There's just a 1,000-pound weight on your back, and you just don't know how to get it off.
Yeah, dude.
So
many regards.
When you travel alone, or does she come with you?
It's mixed. Like there was most of the shows that I've done, I've traveled by myself.
Okay.
I'll normally like fly to a city the day of the show, do the show, come back the next day.
Okay.
But the last city I went to Los Angeles 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And my wife came with me just because she loves it there. We had a lot of like nice vacations in LA.
Okay.
And it's a nice place, man. It's there's like Hollywood's like fucked up. It's
yeah.
like it is like probably what you see on the internet.
Right.
But just outside of that, there's like so much nice shit. We stayed in an area called Pasadena, which is northeast of LA. It's so fucking nice, man. And you get like the real like Southern California experience there.
Sure, without it being annoying.
Yeah, it's nice. It's like people by and large will leave you alone out there.
Right.
And I'm a big being left alone guy, which is why like Texas feels good on me.
Yeah.
People don't really fucking fuck with you down here.
No, and the people down here than we're used to are completely different, and everything is completely different. I think that's for me what I needed. I came down here January of 2024. So, just kind of like you, I'm newer, and I haven't been. I've been to a couple of different places, southern Georgia, Florida, which Florida's a fucking shithole, any way you crush it. It's good for the people that want to be down there, but I'm not Jewish or Italian, so, you can't really fit into, it's good for aviation, but it's not where I wanted big skies. I wanted, a lot of things to do and not be isolated and and on top of people. So, Texas just feels like a home.
I feel the same way, man.
Delco, Philadelphia, that feels like a growing up, right? For me. This feels like, okay, well, this is a place where you can put roots. This feels like a place where, okay, I'm happy to spend my money, because I kind of know where it's going, Yeah. That's been a hard thing.
Yeah, dude, begrudgingly, back home in Delco, it was I just felt like I was pouring money down the drain with everything.
Sure.
Our house was too small, and even like I said, we got a deal on the fucking rent for so long. And my landlord, we were there for 12 years, and they only raised rent once,
right?
And it was by $150,
right? Which
is pretty good over a fucking 12, 13 year span.
Sure.
But even so, after those first couple of years, we had outgrown it, and the house was old. It was kind of shitty, and I got 3 kids, and we only had 2 bedrooms. So as my oldest daughter got older, she had to move down to the basement. And it was it was so shitty, man, and I felt so much shame surrounding that.
Sure.
That I wasn't able to provide better circumstances for her.
Right, yeah, I can totally understand that.
And that was just emblematic of so many different things where it's I feel like I was just throwing money at things and not getting good value in return.
Yep.
Whereas coming here, I feel like you get much more for your money.
Exactly.
In so many different regards.
Well, I think we've hit it. Yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah, this has been awesome, Ryan.
You stick around.
Yep.
We'll do the Patreon thing.
Oh, let's do it, baby.
Excellent. So yeah, go ahead and pump all your podcasts. Pump, any dates that you've got or anywhere you're going to be.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, all my shit is available at onperks.com. That's onpercs.com. That's all my my podcasts, my books. I do custom podcasts, so if you ever want to do a podcast with me, we'll talk about anything you want. I do them over Zoom. You can order one of those. And what else do I got? A bunch of live dates, and if you follow me on social media, at Mike Rainey 82, the links are in all my social media profiles. And I got a bunch of road dates coming up: Cincinnati, Golden, Colorado, Boston, Chicago. Fucking Janesville, Wisconsin, coming back to Philly for a show. So I'm out of dates all the time, too. So I hope to come out and hit as many as I can in 2026, man, because I'm having a lot of fun doing this shit. So thank you so much, dude.
Yeah, buddy. It's been awesome.
You're a fucking man, Ryan.
All right. We're going to go load this thing up, and we're going to go take it for a flight from here at Harris Ranch down to San Marcos. So join us on the Patreon to see that.
Sweet.